What's going on, guys? Sincere here with whoissincere.com and the All Rights Matter show. Listen, guys, I want you to listen to what Roger Stone has to talk about on this video. Um, it's very interesting. What he has to say about lobbying, um, and how cold it comes off. It just kind of speaks to what's really going on with our politicians, around this country, and the kind of people that they encounter when our politicians sit down with lobbyists. So, um, if you want to know why your politician is caving on certain policies and positions that don't help the people and help the corporations instead or seem to line their pockets, um, these are the type of people that they're dealing with and sitting and having meals with instead of understanding what's going on in your household and and the reason why you voted for that politician. So listen to what this lobbyist has to say.
I wanted to ask you too about because the documentary covers so much, and lobbying, is to me one of the things that Trump has said. We have got to drain the swamp, and the lobbying is terrible. And your group is kind of, admittedly, like very responsible for a lot of the lobbying of foreign governments. And you said you kind of have no guilt about that, or you feel like, hey, you made money on it. But do you think the lobbying has gotten to a point where it's just, it's like there's no conscience to it at all, or how do you feel about it?
Well, first of all, it has been this way for a very long time. I didn't invent lobbying. Tommy the Corcoran, an associate of Franklin Roosevelt, invented lobbying. When I was at Black Manafort and Stone, we only represented governments that were pro-Western and pro-U.S. They say, well, you represented, torturers because Marcos and so on. They were allies of the United States. We never represented any Eastern Bloc countries, nor would we have. The work that we did in Ukraine came much later, and it's not lobbying at all.
So it comes off very cold. Um, it's just kind of, it is what it is. Um, there's lobbying doesn't have any feelings, and I want you to listen to the tone of how he says it. So I think that's really important to pay attention to. So we're going to go back to that real quick. Listen to how he immediately responds.
Very responsible for a lot of the lobbying of foreign governments, and you said you kind of have no guilt about that, or you feel like, hey, you made money on it. But do you think the lobbying has gotten to a point where it's just, it's like there's no conscience to it at all, or how do you feel about it?
Well, first of all, it has been this way for a very long time. I didn't invent lobbying. Tommy the Corcoran.
It has been this way for a very long time. So, it's like, hey, it's legal. We know it's unethical, but it's legal. It is what it is. It's been this way for a very long time. And the fact that okay, yes, the United States may be aligned with countries that support um you know situations which are obvious human rights violations. um we may be aligned with countries like that, and we are, but that doesn't make it excusable for you as a human to align with them as a lobbyist uh on their behalf. And if it's a regime that supports torture or anything else that's a human rights violation. So, at the end of the day, yeah, Roger Stone he's a very interesting character, but I'm not here to really talk about Roger Stone per se. I'm here to talk about really lobbyists. This is their mentality. This is how they react. It is what it is. If you make it legal for them, then they don't care about the unethical part. They just want you to hear. They just want to hear you say it's legal, And as long as it's legal, they equate legal with ethical. It's fascinating. It's fascinating to see that breakdown in logic. And and what's sad about that is that breakdown in logic um, cost millions of lives, because when people do bidding on behalf of corporations instead of the folks that actually voted these people into office, um, or voted the politician into office. So when a lobbyist comes by and does the bidding on behalf of the corporation, the lobbyist is getting the politician to do what the corporation wants them to do. So if you think about it, let's put it like this. Um, there's a big oil company that wants to run a pipeline through a state. I don't know, something like the Dakota Access Pipeline. So that oil company sends out a couple of lobbyists to speak with the politicians of that state and say, hey, look, you guys have a fine state here, a beautiful state here. We'd love to do some business with you. We can bring you guys a lot of revenue. We see a lot of great opportunity here. Um, we would love to fit in with your culture and your infrastructure here. And we believe we can make a good home here and, be mutually sound together. And they continue to hit that politician up, you know, with dinners or incentives such as hotels or shows or flights, private flights. These lobbyists really work on these politicians. And the politicians may act naive to the fact of the treatment that they're receiving, but all the while they're being courted, um, you can't make this stuff up. While they're being courted, you know, they're they're slowly starting to bend in favor towards whatever this lobbyist is asking them for. So at the end of the day, this the lobbyists eventually convinced the politicians, hey, this pipeline's a great idea. The politicians eventually craft up uh, uh, some kind of written document to deliver to the people, and access is granted. This access ends up poisoning the drinking water of thousands of people of one community. uh, Hundreds of them get cancer and die or whatever. There's a million things that can happen. These things leak and break all the time. So at the end of the day, lobbyists end up pushing for positions for corporations that cost lives, instead of the politicians listening to the actual people that voted them into office. And this is why lobbyists being in our government is dangerous. Now, um, they may be cut down at certain levels and in our government right now, but trust me, lobbyists are still there. There's they haven't left the building per se. Um, there's there's a these lobbyists are extremely savvy. That's what I can say. And that's one thing about Roger Stone. He's not a dumb guy. He's actually very savvy. Um, in many ways he's a very smart guy. But these people are extremely savvy, and that's the danger of it. So, at the end of the day, uh my thing is, if you understand that lobbyists are working on behalf of the corporations and that's who has your politician's ear most of the time and not you, then you understand who your politician is as a person. And then you have to see what lobbyists are courting your politicians so you can see what policies they're going to get behind, what they're going to support. So it's sad that you have to pick apart your politicians like this, But this is the system that's been set up in this country. We have to do better. We have to get money out of politics. So this is what Roger Stone goes on to talk about, is the money is never going to leave politics. It's not. It's not going to leave politics. But we have to try to get this money out of politics. If we don't try, it's definitely not going to leave. If we try, there's maybe a chance we get something done and get at least most of the money out in some kind of way. But as long as the money incentive is there to influence politicians, then and allow them to be courted by lobbyists, then this is going to continue. And these lobbyists, they're cold. They don't care. They don't care. If it comes to feeding their family by just going out and having dinner and talking to a few politicians to try to convince them to take the position that a company wants them to take, if it comes down for that lobbyist to feed their family versus the thousands, possibly millions of families that'll be affected by their lobbying, then they're going to feed their family, regardless of those thousands of families or possibly millions that would be affected. And that's who they are as people. So I just wanted you to hear that and the tone of that from his own lips, and again, this is not a slam at Roger Stone, so I don't want it to really go out like that, but it's more or less just showing you this is how lobbyists think, and this is how Washington has become corrupted, with folks that don't mind doing the dirty work, if you will. So with that being said, guys, hope you understand where I'm coming from. Like, share, subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, everybody that knows what I'm doing here on YouTube, I'm going over to DTube now. I'm getting off of this crazy platform that YouTube has created. They have deprioritized, demonetized, and demoralized the very people that have helped build their success. And we don't need to be subject to that any longer. We need to move on. We need to move forward, and really show YouTube that we're not going to be a part of their system of corruption. We need to let YouTube know that we see that they now wear the badge of mainstream media, and we no longer support, unless they can get their act together. We no longer support what YouTube has done to its user base who have worked tirelessly to build this platform into what it is today. So with that being said, I'll be on DTube. My links will be in the description box. Create a Steemit account. Follow me on Steemit. Your Steemit connects to your DTube. You want to get on these things now, trust me. I signed up in Steemit in 2016, and it's booming now, and it's actually doing quite well. And as far as independent media going over there, it's a decentralized approach to getting your stories out. So follow me on Steemit, follow me on DTube, follow me on Zapple. Okay, that connects to Steemit as well. But my links will be in the description box below. Share this video, get this information out there about these lobbyists and why Washington is infected the way that it is. And, and not just Washington, why this is also happening, at the state level and even sometimes at local levels. So it depends on the politics of what's going on in, the city at the time. So that's all I got for you guys. And like, share, subscribe. Make sure that you click that little bell, because they're definitely unsubscribing people. It's hard getting past these algorithms these days. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you got that little bell clicked, and drop a comment below on how you feel about lobbyists in Washington, and you know, how you feel about getting money out of politics. So, as always, guys, it's been enjoyable. Stay alert, stay alive.